Okay, right, well, good afternoon everybody, once again. Welcome back to pot. Starting to feel a little bit better now after a couple of weeks of rest, but still taking it easy. And of course I can't do any heavy lifting yet, so I thought perfect day of the day. I come up Friday to start the video off, come back Saturday, come back Sunday. It's been absolutely blowing a gale here for the last 3 days, so of course we're trying to work on a cover. It's pointless having a polythene just blowing everywhere. So I thought what I'd done Friday afternoon, I had a little bit spell, and as I say, I tried to start the video off, but the wind had picked up so much I just knocked it off. But what I had managed to do was to get a few of the Dahlias to go up, just a nice light job, depending on how big the tubers are, because it can grow quite big. Right? And I think that's what puts a lot of people off the Dahlias. I've been growing for close on 40 years now, and that's just a selection of some of the decoratives, cactus, dinner plate size, large decorative. There's absolutely hundreds of varieties, and there's some for everybody, starting from the small miniatures, the pom-poms, and getting up to the larger decoratives or the spider. There's absolutely hundreds of varieties, and they're a fantastic flower to grow. And of course, these being the giant ones, I'd save the tubers, and this is what I'm going to do today. Now if you just grow bed dahlias, I never save them tubers. Dig them up out of the garden and they go in the compost heap. Bed dahlias are so easy to grow, and so easy to set from seed year by year. But with these, the big fellas, this is what I like to do. Now this is one of the tubers. It's not too big, this one. As I say, it depends on how rich your soil is, and your tubers can grow quite a size, and I think that's a part that puts a lot of people off. But there is ways around it. You know, you can get you can easily store them away, and I think that's what a lot of people get confused about, how to store them. Well, there's my Dahlia, straight out of the ground. It's had a chance to dry out a little bit. First job I like to do, just lie them on a bench on a wooden slat for a couple of days, and then I just like to either an old pencil, old pair scissors, just a blunt instrument, and then just start working your way through it. Get all that soil out of the root. And that's the first time you'll start seeing there's any parts that's a little bit loose, like a little small tuber there that you don't think will make it. Take it off. The best thing of that sandy or a sharp pair scissors, just pull them off, and then once we get some of the soil off here, we'll start on the secondary roots, and it just means you haven't got so much to worry about when you put them in storage. Now the best way to store these, a lot of people use newspaper, but I've never been a one for that. Actually, the later you dig them up, the better it is for you, because if you're going to put them straight in the heat come January, then you haven't got so long to worry about. So just like keep scraping there. I've just got an old screwdriver here with a blunt edge. Just keep scraping away, and of course that tuber there has got a bit of a split in it, so I'll cut that out with a Stanley knife. And just as I say, when the tubers go really big, they can get really clogged up with soil in between them, and I find this is the best way of removing it. Just use a blunt object, and that's pretty good so far. I just shake it down onto the path, and I can get there. As I say, you don't want too sharp an object, whereas you're actually taking it into the tuber. That's the last thing you want to do. Now that tuber's lovely and plump, and as I say, you don't dry them out too long. So that's the first part of it, and I've always got it. Thankfully, got a good tank of fresh water handy. Get my good sluice in that. But once I do that, I put a bottle of water to one side, just food in. Yeah, a little bit of chase fluid, or a little bit of disinfectant, not too much. There we have it. And that's just after 5 minutes work. That's perfect, that. Of course, the next job, shift them and tightly. Hopefully they'll stand up there. I could bring an old tray along. I'm working in the greenhouse here, which is actually lovely when you got that little bit of sunshine. It's still a fair bit of breeze blowing, and we've got some rain forecast for this afternoon. So I thought if I get up this afternoon and get most of the job done that I want, I'll be quite happy. And of course the next job, once you've got that soil taken off, just take your scissors, just take all them fine fibrous roots off. You find quite a few of them on there. You don't need them roots, and the more likely to rot away, cause damage to the tuber later on. So just work your way around them, cut them off. As I say, you don't need them. Once you set them down on the heat in January, or even later on if you're leaving them till about March, April time, and then setting them away in a cold greenhouse and a bit of fresh compost. Quite an easy job to do, it's not hard. And I'll show you a couple of my Dahlia tubers I've done down home, because as I mentioned in the last video, I had a few compost boxes, some old recycling boxes down home that are filled with compost, and I grew a few small Dahlias in them, and I've got them over here. They've been down home drying out just nicely. So once you get into this pot, I like to leave about 4 inches on the main stem. Nice clean cut with the secateurs, and hopefully you should find your hollow tube there. Now the best thing I like to do is, if you've got a slatted bench in the greenhouse, and this is why I've come in here to show you, is to turn them upside down on the bench so the water actually runs out through the tube, and I'll be quite happy just sitting on there for a day or two. Get them nice and dry. As I say, turn them upside down so where the stem is, and you've cut off any moisture that's in the tuber, it'll just drain off. Just sit there on there again. Quite happy sitting on there for 2 or 3 days. We use some of the Dahlias, as I say, done from down home. There's a real nice one there. It's a lovely big purple pom, Elmia, and it's a fantastic tuber. Once again, I cut them all off. You can see the hollow stems there. And what I did with these, I turned them upside down in the garage at home, and that's the way they are now. They're lovely and dry, and nice and plump, solid. Just go around checking any parts. If there's any that you think's got a bit rot on, just pull them away, because what will happen is when you put them into storage, that rot will just seep right through the tuber, and you'll end up with a big stinking mess. So that's a first class tuber there. With some smaller ones there, and once again, it's a large yellow cactus, that's that one there. Just a nice little tuber, that's perfect size for me that. They're easy enough to grow, and then as I say, you can put these in storage now. What we'll do is we'll make a little bit of compost up, spread in a box or just an ordinary seed tray, set them in that, and then cover them up with a bit of compost, mix them with a bit of sharp sand and some of my own homemade compost, and it just covers the tuber, and it'll sit in the bench in the cold greenhouse or in a far polytunnel in the melon house. I'll sit them under there, and they'll be quite happy sitting there till January. When we'll bring them out, we'll put them on the heat. Well, the last thing I like to do, of course, Keith Valence was asking, yellow sulphur. It's easy enough to get a hold of online, or if you go to some of the bigger stores, some of the bigger gardening shops, you'll probably get it in there, or the allotment societies. I just send away online for mine, and I think I've had this for about 4 years. I do all my seeds with it. When I'm saving my seeds, pepper, tomato, cucumber, anything like that, lie them on a sheet of kitchen paper, let them get nice and dry, take them off the kitchen paper when they're really dry, put them in an envelope and give them a good dusting with that. And of course, the old yellow sulphur, just make sure you don't breathe it in. Really good covering with that, really good dusting, and that's going to stop any funguses or any diseases. Just make sure your tuber's nice and clean to start with, and then you shouldn't have any problems. Now, as I say, you can have a tray like that, put some trays here without any holes in. Now it's going to be ideal because they'll not be getting watered. What we'll do with that, we'll bring it up to about 3/4 full of my own compost, the 3-2-1, and then they'll just sit in there. If that's half full, they'll sit there like that, and then the tops will just be covered with a bit more compost, and they'll sit in there quite happily until March, April time. The smaller ones, as I say, like that, just set them upright. Make sure you put your tags on them. What I like to do is like put a bit of string on me markers so they don't get lost, and they'll just sit in there quite happily. There's a few more there, and that's a large bit of decorative. And that'll just sit in there. Ones have been dusted. A few of the smaller ones, just make sure they're always upright. Sit them in, give them a nice covering of compost, and they'll sit there quite happy until January or February or even up to March when you want them. But that's a Dahlia sorted anyway. As I say, I've got about another 3 or 4 large ones out in the garden there to dig up. If I take one out a day, I'm quite happy. Dig it up, do exactly the same, give it a good cleaning down with the tools, wash it, and then sit it on this bench, and hopefully when I come up tomorrow that'll be lovely and dry. I'll give it a dust and real sulphur, and that'll go in exactly the same as these ones. What I'll do is I'll start sorting some compost, line the trays, sit them in there, and then go around the top with some nice fresh compost. Just the multi-purpose compost, that's all, over the top of them, and that just keeps them nice and dry, and as I say, hopefully they'll stay nice and plump. What you can do is about December time, late December, if you're not taking them up in January for cuttings, is just take them out of trays and just check them, just check the tubers. Get yourself a sharp knife, a Stanley knife, and if you do find any rotten parts in it, just cut them away, and then again dust the parts that you've cut with a bit of yellow sulphur, and then put them back in there, back in the compost again, and they'll quite happily sit there till March time, as long as they don't get any frosting. Frost free, just a cold greenhouse and a nice covering of compost, and they'll grow away quite easy. If you want to put a couple of newspapers over the tray, you're quite welcome to. Easy enough, just to open the newspaper up and put the whole newspaper over the top of the tray. Just make sure it doesn't get any wet on it, because damp newspaper will spread through your tuber. Nice cardboard, or as I say, newspapers over the top of them, just gives that a little bit extra protection on top of the trays and keep any frost away. But they'll be great. And I want, as I say, if you don't want to put the heat on your greenhouse, you're quite easy to see them through till March time, April time, when they'll start budding naturally. I like to take a few of mine indoors around about the December time for putting the heating on in January. And this is just one that I should have done. If you remember last year, I was talking about pot tubers. Now we'll definitely do it next year. I'll show you how to do it. It's quite an easy job. It's just taking cuttings from your parent plants around about the May time, June time, rooting them cuttings off, and what you'll get is a nice little plant like this. Cut them away. And we've still got a bit green on, but it's just for showing you. Now this pot is absolutely chocker. I'm hoping it'll come out. If not, I'll put the pot. Oh, it's out. Oh, it's a perfect little plant that, and that was just a rooted cutting, and there we have it. It's been in that pot all summer. It's absolutely solid with roots, and that little cutting's been in that pot all summer. I'm just going to break these away. What I will do, I'll probably just sit this in a tub of water and let the water soak through it. And there's the tuber there. It's absolutely solid. And that's what you call a pot tuber. Quite easy to do. You find little bits of it breaking away or rotting away. It just wants a damn good washing, and then once again I'll get the tools on it, give it a good clean up, and it's a perfect little tuber that. You've got a little bit of green on, but that'll die back. And then with them tubers you can actually get 6 to a tray growing them that way, so you're not taking up any extra room in your greenhouses or your sheds. When people talk about the large dahlias and they see these massive dahlia tubers getting dug out of the ground, so I think that's what puts a lot of people off. But it's quite easy just to make yourself a little pot tuber like that. just take a cut from your parent plant. Make sure you mark it. Once it's rooted, put it outside, just sit on your bench somewhere, a cool frame, anywhere like that, and just let it grow away. It'll probably flower, it'll probably throw up a couple of small flowers, but that's nothing. Just let it go. This one did, I had a couple of little mini flowers up, but I just left it in a pot. That's all it was in. And then there you have it. You've got a perfect little pot tuber for putting away for storage. And what I like to do, I like to put about 6 of them in a standard seed tray. Make sure they're marked, and you can put one tray with 6 varieties, so it just goes to show you're taking up very little room in the greenhouse. But that's the pot tubers anyway. What I like is, however you like to save your dahlias, cleanliness is always the best thing. Get them well cleaned up, nice and dry. If you want, put a bit of just fluid in some water, and then wash them again. Give them another wash with that. And once they're dry, put some yellow sulphur, and then we'll pack them away. That's what I'm going to do with these, but first I want to sow a few sweet pea. Okay, so we'll get at the top there, where it's a bit quieter, hopefully. Right, here we are. Right, back in the top end up here. What we've done through the week, Roger's been busy on these 2 beds here. Been completely cleared. I've got the last of the beetroots out, and some really nice little beetroots that will grow on the cover here. Absolutely spot on them. Just a nice size. Quite happy with them. And by the way, they were all water tanks that I cut out last year, but I had no use for them, the bigger IBM tanks, so I cut them in half. And we've got 2 big ones here, and I grew carrots, beetroots in them. For the first year, just filled them up with compost, loads of rotten stuff that was on the bottom that was lying on the garden, and just kept topping them up with soil, and they're right up the top there now. So what I'm going to be doing with here is I've got 2 trayfuls of little gem winter lettuce down the bottom there. I'm going to plant these out into these, and I've got another IBM tank in the greenhouse at the bottom there that I use for water. I've done exactly the same, that cut it in half. So I'll put some more lettuce in there, and I'll probably put a few cauliflowers in that one. But just to fill them up there, we hate to see parts of the greenhouse going lying empty. This bed in here has been cleared. We had dwarf runner beans and everything there. We've got a fantastic crop out of there. We had a couple of rows of spare tomatoes that we had left. So what we're going to do this year, we're going to put another couple of rows of potatoes in, and then next year we're going to use this bed for the peppers and tomatoes, which will grow quite good. Nice deep bed, so it should grow great there. There are a few more little jobs to be cracking on with before then. End October, beginning of November, do it every year, and it's one of my favourite jobs, as well as getting my chrysanthemums sorted out, getting them cut out, getting dahlias brought inside. I like to start with my first sown, there's sweet pea. Now I never sow any earlier than this, and what I've learned over the years, I never chit them, never hit the chit autumn sown ones, and I never steep them either, just straight out of the packet, quite happily. And what I like to do with mine, I like to put them in pint pots, and I like to sow them either 3 or 4 a pint pot. I bring a pint pot up to 3/4 of the way up. Now this is my own compost once again. You know how I make my compost? It's beautiful. It smells absolutely gorgeous. Roger saved a couple of bagfuls out of the compost bin on Monday, and when we come up on Wednesday we made a mix up. I got a bag of multi-purpose compost, half a bag of sand, and 2 bags of homemade compost. Got it in a cement mixer with a couple of handfuls of bone meal, and made a big cracking big mix up. And this is what we've got up here. The only trouble with this is you'll get weeds growing, but as I keep saying, you know, you've got to get your weeds from the seeds. Once the weeds start growing through, even in the winter time, you'd be surprised at how much heat you get in a cool greenhouse. Now this is all I want to be, in a cold, I don't want any heat whatsoever. Well, last year I had them in the bottom end of the greenhouse and it was absolutely freezing. They even had part of it where part of the polythene had split and the cold winds was blowing in, but it still didn't budge them. These are as strong as anything, so as I say, you don't no heat whatsoever. You just want them growing away nice and slowly. I've got about 4 packets of these to sow, but I'm just going to sow a couple for the time being, just to put a couple in. and see how we're going. Now they're easy enough, the seeds to get a hold of. Peas. And all I like to do is, if I say I'm putting 3 or 4 in a pot, it's easy enough to space them out. It's one of them jobs I love doing in the autumn time. You get a day like this, a little bit of sunshine, and you'll be quite surprised at how much heat is in this greenhouse today. I've got my shirt on, I'm starting to sweat a bit there now, so I'm going to have to take this off. I've been persevering. I've got a couple of jobs at home to get cracking on with. One being the new greenhouse that I'm putting up. I've got the foundation to finish off tomorrow. I've got a bag of sand delivered 3 weeks ago from one of the big building companies, and it's been sitting on my driveway for 3 weeks. So I managed to get one of my barrows back yesterday. I had 4 barrows up here last year, believe it or not, me and Roger. And looking the other day, I couldn't find one barrow. They've all been lent out. But that's the way it goes. People come and borrow stuff and they hold onto it. Now, as for watering, what I like to do is to give it a good soaking first. Give these a really good soaking. Once again, that's the idea of my compost. The 3, 2 and 1, put loads of sharp sand in it. Absolutely loads of sharp sand. And it makes a lovely free draining mixture. And that's what you want for sweet pea. And of course these are going to give you a cracking plant to plant out in February or March, and you'll get some lovely blooms come April time. Now it's taking us about 5 minutes just to do that full tray. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 12 in a tray there. Now this tray hasn't got any holes in, it's a solid tray. You know how I like to do things, and when you're watering, you water everything from down below. With this mixture, it'll just soak up the moisture that it needs. Well, I've pre-soaked this soil, and I've just pressed the seed gently into the top of it. And then once again, I've put a little bit more compost here, and all I'm adding to it is a handful of perlite. Just make the compost a little bit lighter. I like using perlite. It's one of them things in the garden that over the years I've used quite a lot of, especially when topping off on seeds, and it just breaks up compost up a little bit more, and of course it lets your seeds germinate a little bit easier. So there again, there's one multi-purpose compost, my own compost, and a handful of perlite, and it's lovely and light and fluffy. And all I need to do now is to put a topping on that to bring them up a 1/4 inch below the rim of that pot. Now that may not make any difference to me watering wise, because as I say, I don't water from the top, I water from down below. And there we have it. Such an easy job to do. Just level them out, give them a little bit of a tap. Don't forget to stick your marker in so you know exactly what they are. Oh, there's a little seed in the bottom there, just fell in that corner. Yep, get him out. You only get about I think it's 20 odd seeds or 30 seeds to the packet, 35 seeds to the packet, which isn't bad. So that's one packet done, and of course here one special offer, 50p a packet. Can I get any better than that? Save coppers where you can. As I say, I'll get myself a marker. There's usually hundreds lying around, but what I did yesterday, I spent a good hour up here just tidying up just in this pot here. You wouldn't think it, but it's lovely now. All the trays and pots are going into their own places. And this is where I like to start the new season off. Getting everything tidy, everything in its place, and then once you do start, you should know where everything is. So there's one marker. Stick him in there. You'll go down onto the shelf on the bottom there, cold greenhouse. Up on the top shelf was nice and light, don't forget that. Don't leave them in any dark corner. You want them nice and light, you want them up on the top where they're getting the full light. I know people say, well, if you're putting them up at the top, they're going to be nearer the cold. Doesn't make any difference. These want to be cold, they don't want any heat whatsoever. You get lovely sunny days in the winter, and you'd be surprised at how easy the temperature can go up to 50, 45, 50, 55 even in the winter. Beginning of this year, in the February and the March, we were seeing temperatures of 60 and 65 in cold polytunnels. Absolutely crazy for that time of the year. But we had to be up, we had to turn the heaters off. The little paraffin heater we'll have going in the melon house, turn that off, open the door, let some fresh air in, because we'll never have our temperatures any higher than that, or don't like to be. Not for the plants that we grow anyway. But these definitely want to be cold. But if you want to start some nice sweet peas off, and that's the way to do it. And of course, I'll take it step by step. These will start growing in a few weeks' time, and hopefully by January we should have 2 to 3 inches of growth on these, and then we'll start chopping the tops off, which is another thing I love to do. People say, you grow on these lovely plants and the first thing you do once they start growing is chop the tops off. Well, there's a reason behind everything, but we'll go all through that as we grow them on. Nipping them out, it just means they're going to bush out and you're going to get a nice strong sturdy plant. The idea of them being a paint pot for me, with 3 seed in there, they've got loads of room, loads of depth, and hopefully by March time that pot will be absolutely full of root. You can just tip it out, the whole pot in its entirety, and plant that as it is, straight in the ground. Wigwam, fences, panelling, anything you want, bushes, and they'll just grow away and you get a nice early flower. That's the way I like to grow my sweet pea. Done it for years, and never had any problems. But we'll keep an eye on them, as I say. We'll go through them week by week. I'm going to escape outside for a half an hour now, and I'm going to crack on with the fruit bushes. But that's all for the next video. Strawberries are looking fantastic. What I have been doing, as I've come up, I've done 1 bed of raspberries every day. Just the 1 bed. Cut all the old ones out, chop them up, and tie the new kins into the framework, and cut them back so they're nice and neat. We will want to manure maybe in a couple of weeks' time. Just lightly cleaning up around the roots, around the stools, get them cleaned out, bit of fresh manure, and that's them sorted for the winter, tied in nice and tight. The only thing they'll need is a spring feed of potash, but we'll do all them fruit bushes in the early part of next year, as well as the strawberries. By then we should be getting ready to take them inside. But I just want to show you a few things on the strawberries. I mentioned it a few weeks ago about flowers and runners, and of course what you don't want to be doing is feeding your strawberries at this time of the year. When I potted mine up, I made me mix up my own mix. There should be enough feed in that to sustain them plants right through the winter, because remember, they're going to be shutting down once that cold spell starts. They're going to be shutting themselves down, so that they don't need any feed. The root system, the crown shut down completely. As long as their root systems are moist and they've got a bit of water, that's all I need. Don't need any feed whatsoever. But I'll go through all that in the next video. We'll get them cleaned up, get them tidied up, and what I will be doing is making a spray up. As I showed you in last week's video, we'll just grow a spring cabbage plant out, but I want to make a garlic spray up. I want to give them a good soak in the garlic spray with a watering can, or put some in the spray, give them a good spraying, and hopefully that'll keep any bugs off them right throughout the winter. You'll be quite surprised this time of the year if there's late eggs not hatching out, and if they've been in the greenhouse anywhere near that polytunnels, it's still mild enough in there for them to breed and from the get out. And of course, flea beetle, anything like that, they'll start munching on your plants. Mice, that's one thing to watch out for. But if I give it a good garlic spray, make a good mix up, and give it a good soak of that, hopefully that'll deter a lot of the pests and just help them, let them grow on. I pulled a load of nettles up out the pathway yesterday when I was working my way down the raspberries, and I pulled a load of comfrey off. I've got a couple of comfrey plants over there I want digging up, and I want them potting up. I took all the tops off them, and I've hid all that in the tank in the bottom of the greenhouse, bottom of the polytunnel, and that'll all rot down, and that'll feed the spring cabbage. But we need giving them a feed come February time, March and February. They will get a little bit of nitro choke sprinkle around them, but that'll be it. Everything you need now should be in the soil. Beautiful soil, plenty of organic matter, and it should be the first class cabbage for next year. Hopefully, if we don't get no more storms that we've had over the last couple of weeks. Have been absolutely horrendous up here. We've got loads of damage to the big tunnel, but as I explained, I've got it all tied down best way as I can, and then in February or March I'll be sending away to the company I use for me polythene covers, and I'll be ordering a new cover, and hopefully come April time we'll get the squad up, we'll get a few of the lads up, a couple of the brothers, and we'll get the new cover put on the first tunnel. And it's just another expense, but as I say, to us it's well worth it for the amount of pleasure we get out of the garden. But anyway, that's I hope I've given you a few tips on your dahlias. Get your dahlias sorted, get your sweet peas in. I've finished my garlics, I've finished the Jap onions, spring cabbage are all in, so we're well on track again. I might sow a few overwintering onions, some spring onions. I might sow a few of them next week. I've got a couple of packets. I've got plenty of places to use, so we might incorporate that in the next video. But it's definitely get outside and we'll get started on these fruit bushes, and that's what I'm going to do this afternoon before I go back home, is to try and clear the last border out of the raspberries, cut the old ones out and tie the new ones back in. I'll take a couple of photographs and I'll post them online tonight on the on the Facebook page. But if you can't wait for the videos, you can always get one more Facebook page. It's Jeff Foreman on the plot. Send our friends request and we'll get you on, and you can speak to her throughout the week on we're on the plot. And I'm on most nights, but now that I can feel myself getting a little bit stronger, I've just got to take my time, because I know what the surgeon says. What she did, it's easy undone. We're going to start straining myself now, so I'm just going to bite the bullet, take my time, just fiddle along with the little small jobs, get as much as I can done, and I'll be quite happy. And hopefully by next month we may be able to sort this greenhouse that's up here, get a new bed put on for, and even if I get the greenhouse shifted off the rhubarb bed, I'll be quite happy, and get it sat in this new bed, and we'll put the glass in it next year when it starts warming up and when we need it. But that's it for now. I hope I'll give you a few tips. I've got some croissants to start on next week, so I might incorporate that in the next video. I've still got lots of potting off to be done, but no doubt we'll get that done in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so enjoy your plots, everybody. Keep on plotting, and don't forget to send your pics in on my Facebook page, and just let me know what you're doing. Okay, so until next week, bye for now.